Okay. This week,
Okay.
I have a 1-star review from Amazon.com written by Mrs. Scoobers, SCOOBERS.
Okay.
And this is for
Mrs. Scoobers.
the original Slinky brand giant metal Slinky kids spring toy.
Oh my! Did you have one of those?
Of course.
Me too. I definitely bent the crap out of it though.
Well, all right, here we go.
Do you think that? Sorry, before we start, do we think that Mrs. Scoobers is a teacher? I don't think I usually see Mrs. Scoobers. Can you spell it?
I just did.
Oh, sorry. I was writing.
Oh, MRS period. SCOOBERS. And
Okay,
I think
yes, I spelled it
your
right.
question might be answered.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Can't wait.
Okay, so here we go. This is Mrs. Scuber's 1-star review for the original Slinky. The subject is Believe the Bad Reviews.
Okay.
And this is a verified purchase written in February of 2017.
Okay.
I didn't believe all the other reviews that this Slinky is caps not the Slinky you remember from your childhood. Well, it's not! It appears that the Poof Slinky brand, which originated in the great state of Pennsylvania, has been bought by the Alex Products toy company. The original Slinky, according to Wikipedia, had 98 coils. This Slinky has 87 coils. It is not long enough to climb downstairs, which was the express purpose for which I purchased this product. While, to Alex Products' credit, I have to read that again. While, to Alex Products' credit, this product is still made in the USA. Alex should return to the original design, or there will be a whole generation who simply can't understand why the Slinky was one of the coolest toys ever. After receiving this item, I contacted Alex Products, and they sent me this reply. Quote, ... I would like to clarify. The original Slinky design is from 1945 and is still being made in Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania, on some of the original equipment of James Industry. Poof Products acquired James Industry in 1988. Over the years, only 2 changes have occurred to the original Slinky. End clamps have been added for safety, and the length has been shortened from 96 coils to 83 coils. Length did not change the walking ability. The diameter has never changed. Alex Brands is following the same guidelines as Poof Products, now Poof Slinky, LLC. Below is what you need to make the Slinky walk. 1. Steps cannot have carpet on them, and they have to be 7 5/8 to 8 inches deep. 2. A ramp can be used 4 inches long and 10 inches high. After checking with our factory, all Slinkies walk down several stairs into their boxes off the line. End quote. First of all, my steps are not particularly deep, and they measure 8.5 inches. But the Slinky I purchased when my daughter was little, parentheses probably 15 years ago, went down the same set of steps perfectly fine. And I do believe that reducing the number of coils has changed the ability to go downstairs. A greater number of coils allows the Slinky to stretch longer. But whatever, ... Alex Products told me to return the product directly to Amazon. So, I guess I will. 140 people found this helpful.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay.
What in the world? Isn't this like a science report?
Yeah, I was going to say, so I definitely think that Mrs. Scoobers is a teacher based on the amount of analysis that was done. Though I do think it's interesting that apparently they miscalculated from 83 to 87, unless Alex is wrong.
Well, that's my question. How do you determine a coil? Like you just hold
True.
from one point, and then like the neck, when you reach it in a circular motion, that's one coil, and you keep going.
I would think.
Because
I would think so. Also, like, how do they know that the original was 98? Do they still have the original Slinky? And like, you know what I mean? Like, how are we comparing? Because is that it doesn't sound like that's published knowledge. That sounds like we were saying, that's scientific data.
Well,
because in the email they're telling us. So how do they know?
Well, in the email response, they say it went from 96 to 83, but Mrs. Scoober says it went from 98 to 87. So somehow both parties are measuring differently.
Maybe, like, I was wondering if you would count the first and last coil, because they tend to be like kind of a half coil. So maybe Alex isn't counting those two, because that would account for the difference.
Or does that half actually denote where it starts? And that's your 1, 2, 3 point.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
Or is
Either
it a
way,
half and you add the beginning and the end?
Then it's half and a half, and then it's a 1 because it's 2 halves.
Also, I would
don't
imagine
know.
the end caps would help make it walk. Also, I feel like all of my metal ones got bent, and I feel like there was a huge push of plastic ones in the 80s, 90s.
Yes, there was.
Yeah.
Like those rainbow ones.
Yes.
And stuff. Yeah. Yeah, this is funny to me. I want to applaud Mrs. Scoobers on all the research that they did.
Very detailed.
Very detailed. They did hit on the nostalgia of the product, which I think was good. I think it was an interesting choice to copy and paste the entire exchange with Alex, the toy company.
Go into that. What do you
it,
mean, interesting?
Well, you know, maybe we could have summarized it, but like it just sort of, this is a 1-star review.
Mm-hmm.
It was very informative. Like, it was interesting. I feel like I learned a lot of things in that email alone.
Yeah.
Like, this review is so much more than a 1-star review. It's like a 1-star review, and like I've like probably paid for tours that gave me less information about a product than this. I know that they're still using the same machinery since,
right.
What was
1945?
1945, and you know that the original factory or whatever still exists. You know, all of this interesting data.
I mean, it does feel to me like a blog.
Yeah, I almost feel like
review.
I'm glad that Mrs. Scoobers said Mrs. Scoobers, because I feel like I just went to school.
Wait,
you know?
you lived on the border of Pennsylvania. Have you ever heard of Hollidaysburg?
It sounds vaguely familiar. There's a lot of like funny, like the Crayola factory is also in Pennsylvania. So I think like, yes, we have Hershey. So it doesn't really surprise me, you know. But what I was wondering, and I don't really know if it factors in here, they were saying that Mrs. Scoobers was saying that this is one of the coolest toys ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree. Like, I did have fun with this toy as a kid, but I wonder, like, if I had an iPad and all the things that kids have today, would I still think this is the coolest toy ever? Or is this more the nostalgia for Mrs., Scoobers, who's attributing that, but kids today aren't going to be like, I can't wait to like put this Slinky down to fight along stairs. I don't know. Like, I don't know if kids today, who's buying this product?
Well, that is a really great question, because it kind of makes me think, like, I remember my parents played with jacks.
Right.
And like, we would try to like do that with Cracker Jacks or whatever, like, and it just never was interesting. Like, I was like, wait, I have to pick these up before it bounces the ball back. Like, this isn't cool. But the Slinky was interesting
jacks.
to me. But yeah, I imagine if I gave this to my nephew, he'd be like, okay, can I watch Paw Patrol?
Yeah. Is this a drone? Is it gonna fly? Like, what is it? Yeah. So I did wonder, like, I think that there is, without a doubt, a lot of emotional, I don't want to say baggage, but history that's coming from the passion of this review and the extreme due diligence that was done to, express, no, this is not the same product that you had when you were a kid.
It's also interesting because ultimately the company like Mrs. Scoobers purchased this from Amazon, then reached out to the company. The company said just to return it directly if it's not working, because like these are all of our details. And then Mrs. Scoobers returned it. So ultimately, nostalgia aside, 15 years ago, it worked on the 8-inch steps, and now it's not. And somehow Mrs. Scoobers is counting coils less than. So, you know. Also, I loved playing with Slinkies because I would like smoosh it like an accordion in my hand, and I would make it wiggle like a sound wave. Like there was enjoyment for the Slinky for me other than going down steps, you know?
And do you think if you I don't know like Mrs. Scuba's strategy, but I wonder if you kind of got it going. I wondered about the blow comment.
Blow?
Blow is what you need. You don't remember that? That was in the Alex. Hold on one second.
Oh, below. I thought you said blow.
Lucy? Sorry, I thought she was saying she needs to come in.
Um,
below. It was the line not below is what you need.
Right, the 2 steps. The 2 action steps. Yeah, it says like no carpet, and it's like down to the 5/8 of an inch. But Mrs. Scoobers is, you know, they're saying it has to be 7 5/8 to 8 inches, and Mrs. Scoober says theirs is 8.5, but it worked 15 years ago. So it seems like Mrs. Scoobers is saying your 2-point steps are not accurate, so you're lying. So I'm returning it.
I mean, yes, but regardless of whether or not it worked before, and I understand that kind of disappointment about the product working before and not working now, am I hearing it incorrectly? She is outside of the range of what Alex is presenting. So it's like if it did work before, it's almost like it was a fluke if the product isn't designed to work for that kind of step. So it's like, yeah, maybe this product worked for your steps because it was a little bit longer and like that was enough to sort of put it over the edge, which I understand is the entire point. But, and again, I don't know if this is written anywhere on the box about this measurement, but according to what Alex Toys is saying, they didn't know the measurement of Mrs. Scuber's steps, and they gave a range that was, you know, outside of it.
It's interesting to me because I do wonder, like, because they have the dimensions, like, is this like a common issue for Slinky?
It must be.
Say that again.
It must be.
All right.
It must be because, you know, like we were saying, other people are buying this product because they're nostalgic about it.
Right.
And there is that moment when you think about the Slinky that, of course, you think about it going down the stairs. Even if we use it as an accordion, you do think that.
Correct.
So,
like, that's like the image on the logo. Like, that's the image on the box.
Exactly.
I would venture to say that...
I get it.
I would venture to say that this is the most valuable review I've ever read.
Wow, Trey. That is quite a statement.
Well, Mrs. Scoopers like goes into like outrageous research paper detail here. The spelling and grammar
she does, but do we think it's like a bit much?
Well, that I am curious about the Karen jar here because it does occur as truthful to me. Like, I do believe Mrs. Scoopers based on the amount of effort and due diligence here. The spelling and grammar is totally fine. I don't think there's a single issue. It's beautifully punctuated and formatted.
Mm-hmm.
But then going into question here is like, I don't think it's humorous, but in the experience here, it's like, well, I don't know. Have the dimensions of steps changed? Like, why are Mrs. Scooper steps 8.5, but this product is made for 7 5/8 to 8? Like now I'm just confused.
Well, and she also said that her steps were carpeted. Did she say that?
No, but they say it won't work on carpeted steps. Okay. But I had carpeted steps, and I think that
I was going to say I had carpeted steps, and I did it. Yeah. And you know what? To be honest, I don't think it really worked all the way down the steps the whole always.
Never.
But I didn't mind kind of like pushing her along.
Yes.
All right.
That's why I'm codependent today. It's because of the Slinky.
Right? You just need someone to push you along. All right. Did we consider everything? I feel like I might be ready to crown.
I think so too.
Mrs. Goober.
Scoober.
Or no, Scoober. Jesus,
Scoobers.
what is wrong with me? Mrs. Scoober. I'm so sorry. Mrs. Scoobers, don't send me to the principal office. I know your name.
You're not going to get a hall pass to go to recess. All right, let's rate and review this. Let's do it.
Okay.
The queens are tabulating. Total score.
Oh, interesting. I was not expecting that. So Trey is holding up 3.5 crowns and I'm holding up 4 crowns. Based on what you said about this being like the most informative review you've ever read, I was starting to think maybe you were going to make Mrs. Scoobers a review queen. I'm shocked, Trey, but we'll get to that later. I did 4 crowns because I thought, really, and this happens a lot, like you kind of convinced me because of all of the information that is involved here. And at the end of the day, when we're assessing these reviews, it was very readable. I learned a lot. There was a lot of information there. I think that, again, similar to Niagara Falls, my expectations are clear. And I think that they did a good job. And for that reason, I wanted to award Mrs. Scoobers accordingly and give her 4 crowns. Why did you end up going with 3.5?
No, I hear you. And I know I kind of pulled the rug there, but I think that this is full of the most value because of the due diligence and all of that. But I gave it middle of the road because ultimately I think we're overthinking a Slinky. It's a toy. Who cares? Like, kids aren't going to want the Slinky anyway. So ultimately, I don't think it's going to have that much of an impact, except now I'm sort of aware of like stair dimensions in a way that I've never considered or thought about before. So that's why I gave it 3.5, because I feel like it's a Slinky. Like, and Slinkies are like less than $5 or whatever the price is. I don't know. But it's like, this is not like, we're not building a battleship for war. It's like, this is a little toy to like entertain you. Like, it's not that deep. So I said 3.5.
Yeah. I hear you. I think that I would be, because there were so many people that liked it as well, right? It makes me think that Mrs. Scoobers is not the only one that is as passionate, right?
It makes sense. It does make sense.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the review, but I think I'm going to forget it in a couple of days.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, Mrs. Scoobers, thanks for taking us to class.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Baby, it's time to